But generally I may spend a lot of time discussing what's the challenges, who are the key players of the challenge, what's the unknowns, what are some of the, things that are getting in our way that we know about, what's getting in our way we don't know about. We might map it on a flip chart, and then you just might have tables discuss it. Or you might set people up to discuss it. But if it's an intact team, shy away a little bit from let's make it personal. Now I just worked with a group, and this was kind of pretty cool. Everybody here can take heart. This was an academic university, an academic group. So you had PhD kind of people, faculty people, as well as admin people. And we did a leadership training, 3 sessions in the morning over about 6 weeks, and did constellations. And they really, they hadn't heard anything about it, and they didn't even know what they were getting into, but they went with it. And it was really cool. And they had a little, second time we did it, I think it was a little overwhelming. But they came back, so that must have been something good there. So, and the first time we did it, there was a lot of crying, and I was just totally amazed with it. So what I'm thinking is, this wouldn't have happened 2 or 3 or 5 years ago. I think there's something in the atmosphere that's allowing people to step in and start to get, the 100th monkey phenomenon, there's enough softening in the environment. And so I'm very excited that did take place, and maybe you guys and other people will see more just standard leadership training come, and we're gonna constellate. Now, we had to go through a lot because they know each other, and we did blind constellations and things like that, so there's more privacy. And I did a lot of structured constellations, maybe just 1 or 2 more classic phenomenological, but brief structured things that help them look at some particular aspect like conflict or motivation, being strong, getting their strengths as a leader. So it's not, let's just say that, we can do this work in an organization, where people know each other, but we really pay attention to how do we make it safe for those people, and how much can we really talk about it? Because if someone's boss is in the group, or someone knows someone's boss, and they usually do I really want to expose myself to talking about these issues? So that's something. Other questions, comments?
I would just add, because I've been doing this for not constellation work, but consultant work, but safety is always primary, even for the employees, and even from senior executives to senior executives. That risk is always there.
Great, thank you for that. And remember what, forget which workshop it was in. I think Jane mentioned at the beginning of our conference that they're not there because they want, to do some particular type of work, whether it's constellation or something else. There's many tools out there. They're there because they trust you. All right, if they don't trust you, the level of work will reflect that. Right? So how do you build rapport? How do you build that intimacy? Kind of revealing yourself and being vulnerable, modeling for them is very, very key. And at the same time, kind of a fine line. You can't be. Well, I'm really uncertain about what I'm doing here, but please bear with me. I mean, no, you've got to show you're grounded, connected, confident, calm, willing to go slow. And if something happens, you can protect that person. If someone says, well, I really disagree with that, and even if they have the worst opinion in the world, you think you can still protect them, so it's safe to have divergent opinions. So you really are, and as a facilitator, you are the protector. Okay. Other comments?
Have you done, let's say the manager came off site to a constellation workshop, so the employees weren't there, but he got to see the bigger terrain with reps, in an organizational constellation with a manager or owner or whatever, separate from the actual employees that might have the issue?
So I do a monthly with the Chesapeake Bay Organizational Development Network. There's also a national group, ODN. And we run a monthly session at a public library. Jim comes all the time. He's our faithful. Jim is also a good facilitator. Sometimes we draw him in to help facilitate. But done like 81 of those sessions every month. So let's do the math, 5, 6, 7 years. And it comes down, out of those 300 or 400 constellations we've done, I would say maybe a third might be organizational, where we really do that. We look at the organization either from the leader's perspective or the facilitator's perspective. And how do I get these parts, what's going on and what's getting in the way? And there's some clarity, I think, what's the goal, and then constellate it, what's the next step. Another, maybe the 2/3, I would say, are professional. And someone coming and saying, God, I don't know about my boss, or I don't know about what career to go with, or I've got something I'm struggling with at the workplace, and we constellate that. Now, where does that go? Almost always. No exceptions, as you know. Back there. And this can go back to that too, but we may not, they may not be looking for that, and there's an insight here without going back there. There's another insight. Okay. Great questions. Any others? Yeah.
So do you do these as blind, or you do them that people know who they are?
Now, as Gary mentioned, if they come to the meeting, they're generally people, they don't even have to say, this is where I work.
Yeah.
So people don't know.
Right.
And then they leave and we still don't know, but they leave with the insights. Right.
So it's not blind, it's...
It may or may not be blind, depending on how much they want to share, because sometimes we go blind, just because I don't want people to start assuming, oh, this is how a victimized person should, be a representative or something like that. It could go either way. But in the work group, yes, where you're working with a work group, you might want to really have a lot of blind stuff in the back pocket, because then it's safe. Okay, other questions? Yes?
Have you ever brought in representatives to do something within an organization?
I've talked to people about that, and I've never gotten permission. And one reason is, it's so sensitive. And, it's a stretch for them, for me to be there, it's a big stretch. It goes back to the point about safety. If you bring somebody in, you don't know what's gonna happen. And things can go awry, and they have, and people know about it. And I do get, sometimes the boss's boss wants to know what the heck happened. And, and I have to say, no, we have confidentiality here, I can't say anything like that. But if your manager wants to share with you, that's great, he's got the report, or she's got the report.
So I'm just curious about how this connects with the title, leadership and conscious use of self.
It doesn't, because you all wanted to know about this, so I got sidetracked. So let's go to the title.
Super
Thank you for bringing me back on course. So what's this have to do with use of self? It's all important. It's important background for you. Here's a little more background. So in terms of a model of awareness, there's 3 levels. And the first level is we believe, hopefully you believe, reality is co-created. Reality is co-created. I'm not showing up and everybody's doing it to me, and then I have to suffer with what I've got. I play a role in this. My attitudes and my perceptions, my upbringing create, what I'm experiencing. Now, some people say it's totally you. It's totally you. But we'll split the difference and say it's co-created. So where does that co-creation come from? Well, it's your thoughts, your feelings, your sensations that lead to verbal and nonverbal behaviors. Right? Thoughts, feelings, sensations that lead to verbal, nonverbal behaviors. And out of those verbal, nonverbal behaviors, you're going to get some kind of reality, some kind of result. Right? Okay. However, we know as facilitators, constellators, there's just more to what's showing up at our conscious mind level. There's a lot happening that's below the threshold of awareness based on unconscious beliefs, thoughts, behaviors that are driven by different archetypes and different traumas that are embedded at a personal level, transgenerational level, or even a collective, if we're looking at the group, a collective level. Right? And the level of awareness, you could say people are pretty aware of their reality. If it sucks, they're especially aware of it, right? but they're not so aware at level 3 what's going on, and there's variability on level 2. Sometimes they don't even realize what they're thinking.
Can you say more about that, because I can't read it, so.
Oh, sorry, I'm just my scribble.
Unconscious.
Which part did I?
Unconscious belief.
Yeah, at the basis of all your co-created reality are the unconscious beliefs and archetypes and traumas that aren't there, but they're in the unconscious or subconscious, whether yours or the collective society or the collective group, right? There's different levels of it. And that's going to influence your thoughts, feelings, sensations, which is going to determine your reality. Okay, that's what we're doing here, right? We're bringing. Constellation is a great X-ray machine for showing us some of that unconscious material. Agree? Is that what we're doing?
True awareness.
Yeah, and we look at it, and it's kind of overwhelming sometimes. I have, does anyone have that? I've had that. Something comes out of a constellation, it takes me a long time to integrate it, because I'm really like, I can't believe this.